Welcome to Making a Murder, Rubberducky video channel. Thank you for joining me today on a daily MaM reading. We do this series over 1,000 pages of the CASO Investigative Reports, and this happens to be part 98. Page 971. Michelle went on to tell me when she would call over by Jody, Stephen would get very upset. Michelle stated Stephen told her on one occasion that if she were to call and talk to Jody anymore, Stephen would find her and kill her. Michelle states this would have been in July or August of 2004 when Stephen told her this. Michelle states that every time she would call Jody's phone, Stephen would answer the phone and she a lot of times would just hang up. Michelle told us Jody also told her they had a lot of sex. Jody also told Michelle that if she did not want to have sex with Stephen, Stephen would take it. Jody also told Michelle she would get sore from having sex so often with Stephen, but that didn't matter to him and he would still want to do it. We asked Michelle about Brendan's relationship with Stephen and Jody. Michelle stated Brendan would come over to the trailer a lot, and that actually would upset Jody because Brendan was over at the trailer all the time. Michelle went on to tell us how Stephen and Brendan would go into the salvage yard at night and steal radiators. Jody told Michelle that they would scrape the numbers off the radiator, and Stephen and Brendan would then take the radiators and cash them into a metal dealer for money. Michelle went on to tell us how Jody told her that Stephen was planning to blow up Jody's mother's house. Jody told Michelle he was either going to blow it up or set it on fire. We thanked Michelle for her cooperation and urged her to call us if she could think of anything that she had not already told us. That was the end of our conversation with Michelle. We ended our interview at 11:30 a.m. Investigation continues. Investigator Mark Wiegert, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 972. Type of activity, telephone conversation with Jody Stachowski. Date of activity, 10/13/06 at 11:38 a.m. Reporting Officer Investigator Mark Wiegert. On 10/13/06 at 11:38 a.m., I, Investigator Wiegert of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, received a phone call from Jody Stachowski. Jody stated she forgot to tell Special Agent Fassbender and me a few things when we were over to visit her. Jody stated she remembers when she had met Stephen that she was seeing a psychiatrist by the name of Dr. Cy Q through Manitowoc County Department of Human Services. She stated shortly after starting to date Stephen, he, meaning Stephen, made Jody stop going to the psychiatrist. Jody stated Stephen told her she should quit going to the psychiatrist because anything you tell psychiatrists, they can later use against you in court. Jody also stated she forgot to tell us about an incident where she ended up in the hospital after eating rat poison. She stated she tried to commit suicide by eating rat poison, and Stephen had taken her to Holy Family Hospital in Manitowoc. She stated this happened in September of 2004. I asked Jody why she had taken the rat poison, to which she stated she tried to kill herself because she found out about Stephen and his blank. When they got to the hospital, Stephen lied to the hospital staff and told them Jody mistakenly had drank out of a Coke can that had rat poison in. According to Jody, Stephen did not want the hospital staff to know she had tried to commit suicide. Jody also asked me while on the phone if we had anybody following her home from work yesterday. I told Jody we did not have anybody following her home, and we would have no reason to do that. She states that after work yesterday, there was a Ford SUV, possibly an Xterra, following her all the way from her work back to where she lives. I again assured Jody it was not anybody related to our department or this investigation, and informed her if that should happen again, she should contact the local law enforcement in that jurisdiction. I thanked Jody for her phone call, and that was the end of our conversation. Investigation continues. Investigator Mark Wiegert, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 973. Type of activity, supplemental report, date of activity 10/26/06, reporting officer Deputy Rick Reamer. On 10/26/06 at approximately 14:35 hours, I, Deputy Reamer, reviewed my reports and evidence sheets and noted there was a mistake on ledger number 05-185, which was a chain of custody sheet. The sheet had indicated that evidence was recovered on 11/08/09, and it should have indicated 11/08/05. Also, in box number 3 of the ledger sheet, chain of custody sheet, it should be indicated the evidence was processed on 11/10/05 versus 11/08/09. Deputy Rick Reamer, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 974. Type of activity, subpoena for documents from Synthesis Films, LLC. Date of activity, 11/01/06. Reporting Officer Investigator Mark Wiegert. On 11/01/06, I, Investigator Wiegert of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, did receive a subpoena for documents for Synthesis Films, LLC, Laura Riccardi, owner. The subpoena was signed on 11/01/06 by Honorable Patrick L. Willis, Manitowoc County Circuit Court Judge. It should be noted the date for the return on the subpoena would be 11/20/06. At approximately 14:50 hours, I did make phone contact with Laura Riccardi of Synthesis Films, LLC. I explained to Laura I had a signed subpoena from Judge Willis for specific documents from her film company. At that time, Laura stated she did not wish to speak with me and was not going to make herself available to have the subpoena served on her. I indicated again to Laura that the subpoena was signed by a circuit court judge, at which time Laura stated she would consult her attorney and get back to me. It should be noted, I had not heard back from Laura by the following day. On 11/02/06 at approximately 15:12 hours, I again made phone contact with Laura Riccardi. Laura again told me on the phone that she, quote, was not interested in speaking with me. Laura stated to me she feels like she is being harassed by me. I again informed Laura that I had a time-sensitive subpoena and we were looking for specific information. Laura stated to me she was not interested in getting involved in the case, that she is not working for either the prosecution or the defense. She reiterated to me she is an independent filmmaker. I informed Laura we were looking for specific information and were not interested in ruining her film. Laura then stated to me she is, again, an independent and not working for either side. Laura stated she has contacted District Attorney Kratz to interview him for her film, and at this time District Attorney Kratz has refused to speak with her. I indicated I could not speak for District Attorney Kratz. However, law enforcement was not going to be involved in her film out of respect for the Halbach family. At that time, Laura got very upset with me and stated she was going to hang up and did so. On 11/03/05, I did make a copy of the subpoena for documents and sent it to Laura Riccardi of Synthesis Films, LLC, at the address of 1090 St. Nicholas Avenue, Apartment 64, New York, 132. I have retained the original subpoena so that I may serve Laura in person if the occasion should arise. Investigation continues. Page 975. Investigator Mark Wiegert, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 976. Type of activity, conversation with Attorney Bob Dvorak. Date of activity, 11/09/06. Reporting Officer Investigator Mark Wiegert. On 11/09/06 at approximately 10:20 a.m., I, Investigator Wiegert of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, had phone contact with a male subject who identified himself as Attorney Bob Dvorak, representing Laura Riccardi. Bob indicated he had some questions about the subpoena for Laura Riccardi and Synthesis Films, LLC. I read Bob paragraph 1 and paragraph 2 directly from the original subpoena. I also assured Bob we were not trying to interfere with Laura Riccardi's film. However, we did have a signed subpoena from the Honorable Patrick L. Willis from the Manitowoc County Circuit Court. Bob requested that I fax him a copy of the original subpoena. At approximately 10:30 a.m., I did fax Bob a copy of the subpoena for documents. It should be noted Bob did provide me with the phone number of 414-271-3400. Investigation continues. Investigator Mark Wiegert, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 977. Type of activity, FBI inspection of Teresa Halbach's vehicle. Date of activity, 11/14/06 and 11/15/06. Reporting officer, investigator Mark Weger. On 11/14/06, I, Investigator Weger of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, did receive keys to the storage unit in the Halbach vehicle had been stored. The said keys were turned over to me by evidence custodian Jeremy Hawkins of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department. The keys for the storage unit were kept in the custody and care of myself. On 11/15/06, I did remove the keys from their evidence packaging and also removed the Halbach vehicle from its storage area. It should be noted the Halbach vehicle was also turned over to me from Deputy Hawkins. The Halbach vehicle was removed from the storage unit at approximately 9:15 a.m. on 11/15/06. The vehicle was loaded onto a flatbed by Scott's Towing and transported to the Calumet County Highway Department, where I maintained custody of the vehicle and the storage unit keys. Present with me at the Calumet County Highway Shop were Investigator John Dietering of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, Bob Thomas from the Federal Bureau of Investigations Laboratory, Carl Adrian from the Federal Bureau of Investigations Laboratory, Peter Kennedy of the Direct Dimensions Incorporated Company, Jason Schwartz of the Wisconsin State Patrol, Gerald Mullen from the Federal Bureau of Investigation Green Bay Office, Tom Fassbender from the Department of Criminal Investigation, and Timothy Austin from the Wisconsin State Patrol. At approximately 9:45 a.m., I did turn over possession of the Halbach vehicle to Investigator Dietering. The keys for the storage unit were maintained and secured by myself. For more information on this, please see Investigator Dietering's report. Investigator Mark Weger, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 978. Type of activity, possession of Teresa Halbach's RAV4. Date of activity, 11/15/06. Reporting officer, Investigator John Dietering. Documents generated, none. On Wednesday, 11/15/06, at approximately 04:45 hours, I, Dietering, did obtain possession of Teresa Halbach's Toyota RAV4. I accepted this evidence from Investigator Weger. The exchange took place at the Calumet County Highway Department. The Toyota RAV4 had been removed from storage and transported to the Calumet County Highway Department in order to have FBI technicians do laser scans of the vehicle. At 09:51 hours, I, Dietering, did compromise the evidence tape securing all the doors to the vehicle. At 10:44 hours, the surplus evidence tape that had been built up from other entries to the vehicle was removed in order to get an accurate laser scan of the exterior. At approximately 1100 hours, the technicians began the scan of the unit. The technicians finished the laser scan at approximately 21:50 hours on Wednesday, 11/15/06. At 22:12 hours, Teresa Halbach's Toyota RAV4 was transported back to storage via flatbed. The vehicle was secured at approximately 22:20 hours. Investigator John Dietering, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 979. Type of activity, review of evidence at MTSO. Date of activity, 11/27/06. Reporting officer, Investigator Mark Weger. On 11/27/06 at approximately 10:50 a.m., I, Investigator Weger of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, did go to the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department where I met with Detective Dave Remaker. It should be noted, Detective Remaker would be the evidence custodian for the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department. My reason for meeting with Detective Remaker was to determine what type of items they were storing in their evidence room regarding Steven Avery. I went to the evidence room with Detective Remaker at approximately 10:50 a.m., at which time he showed me two pieces of evidence. One was a box, which was sealed and labeled with evidence tape. The second was an envelope, which was also sealed. The first package had a number on it of M851051. It indicated the package was received from the Wisconsin State Crime Laboratory, and the return address had Department of Corrections on it. Inside this envelope was a second manila envelope with the name Marie Beth Verrilli on it. Inside manila envelope was a white envelope sealed with the evidence tape. We did not open white envelope. However, you could feel and see a buccal swabbed through that evidence. The second box had a number attached to it of S8504851, which would be a Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department number. That package was opened at 11:03 a.m. There was a crime lab seal attached to the box with, again, the number of M851051 attached to it. Located in that sealed box were separate envelopes containing pubic hair, head hair, and fingernail scrapings. It should be noted that there was no blood or any blood samples located in either of those packages. Detective Rimmaker stated those were the only two packages located in their evidence room that contained any specimens regarding Steven Avery. Both of the packages were resealed at 11:14 a.m. by Detective Rimmaker. Detective Rimmaker and I then left and secured the evidence room. Investigation continues. Investigator Mark Weger, Calumet County Sheriff's Department. Page 980. Type of activity, interview of Andreas F. Martinez, date of birth 10/09/63, date of activity 11/29/06. On 11/29/06, I, Investigator Weger of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, along with DCI Special Agent Tom Fassbender, went to the Green Bay Correctional Institute to interview Andreas Martinez. It should be noted I was informed by Lieutenant Link of the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department that Martinez had recently been transported to Green Bay Correctional Institute from their county jail. Lieutenant Link stated Martinez had made several statements to the transport officer about knowing Steven Avery and also having information about the murder of Teresa Halbach. At approximately 10 o'clock a.m., Special Agent Fassbender and I did meet with Martinez in an interview room at the Correctional Institute. Special Agent Fassbender and I identified ourselves to Martinez. Martinez stated to us he was not sure he wanted to talk to us now. He stated he had tried to get a hold of us about a month or so ago and has since changed his mind. I informed Martinez that was his right and he did not need to talk with us. However, we informed him that his information could be helpful in the homicide case. Martinez stated he was friends with Steven Avery. He also told us he would commonly go to the junkyard sometimes as often as a couple times a day. Martinez told us Steven Avery told him, meaning Steven Avery, thought Teresa Halbach was coming to his house to pinpoint him for a crime he did not commit. I asked Martinez if Steven thought Teresa was spying on him, to which Martinez stated that is what Steven told him he believed was happening. I asked Martinez if Steven mentioned Teresa by name, to which Martinez stated Steven did. Martinez also told us Steven Avery told him Steven said he wanted to dispose of her, meaning Teresa. Martinez also told Steven had shown him a little book which had Teresa's phone number in it. Again, Martinez stated Steven believed Teresa was spying on him for a crime he was innocent of. All right, let's go ahead and start a review on page 971. It's about Michelle. Now, Michelle was a friend of Jody since they were young. And between Sandra, Jody's mom, and Michelle and Jody, they all talk about similar incidents, but none of them tell even close to the same story. So Michelle talks about how Steven and Jody had a lot of sex in the beginning, and then Michelle informs the investigators that when Jody would say no, Steven would take it, which is exactly the opposite of what Jody said. Then we have Michelle talking about Brendan saying that he's over at the trailer all the time and that Jody would get upset about it. But Jody says he's hardly ever at the trailer, but they do take them to Walmart and so forth, him and Blaine. Stop barking. Michelle went on to talk about how Jody was at her mother's house and Steven threatened to blow the house up or set it on fire. I thought it was, when Sandra told the story, it was Jody was in Steven's home and he was going to burn the trailer down or something. It just gets silly. On page 972, we have more with Jody. This is so telling. Jody has so many problems, you guys. Jody stated Steven told her she had to quit going to the psychiatrist because they could use it against her in court. Jody asked They asked Jody why she had taken rat poison to try to kill herself. She said she found out about Stephen and Blank, which we know who Blank is, and we know the real story was that he wasn't having an affair with her, that he was actually trying to protect her from sexual assault of her stepfather. They go to the hospital. Stephen lies for her. He should have let him take her. She needed help. She just needed help. She does talk about something strange, which could be her own paranoia, or it could be real. She talks about a Ford SUV, possibly an Xterra, following her all the way from work back to where she lives. Could that be why they know everything about Jody? Now, on page 973, we have a supplemental report, and it talks about the ledger error, and it talks about ledger number 05185. So if we look here, we're talking about this ledger right here, 05185. And he's talking about the date, meaning that it should be 11/8/05, or actually 11/10/05. These are pretty important barrels to be changing the date on. 11/10/05 is barrel 7921, 7922, and then the tarp 7923. Now, these items were found originally at the deer camp, and these are burn barrels, and this one here says number 4 on it. So that kind of tells you that that's a very important one. And also notice it says unknown, but behind it, it looks like it was starting to be like an R, A. Could be random. I don't know. Somebody changed it, put unknown. And then on page 974, I have to kind of giggle. This is Laura, and Laura Riccardi, and she is the one that teamed up and was partners to make Making a Murderer 1 and 2. Now, Wiegert has contacted her with a subpoena for documents, and she basically tells him she doesn't have time for him. She's not going to do this, and she's not going to get involved with either side. And law enforcement says, out of respect to Halbach, they're not getting involved either. However, they're getting involved in her business. She got very upset, and she said she was going to hang up, and she did so. Kudos to you, Laura. On page 976, her lawyer gets involved, Bob Dvorak, and he is sent the subpoena. So, now on 977, we have the FBI inspection of Teresa Halbach's vehicle. The date is 11/14th and 15th, and it is taken to the Calumet County Sheriff's, I think it's the Highway Department. There we go. And we have a lot of very important people here that are from the FBI, Direct Dimensions, Wisconsin's Patrol, again, FBI, and DCI. So these are some very important people going over this vehicle. Now, what did they do to the vehicle? According to page 978, the FBI technicians did laser scanners of the vehicle. On page 979, we have the evidence review at the MTSO, Manitowoc County. And they only say that they have a buccal swab that can be seen right through the envelope. Interesting. So, Marie Beth Verrilli. Big name in a lot of different ways. Now, this individual has been known to have issues at the State Crime Lab with being authentic and truthful. So it makes you wonder. Her name is marked on the second envelope. And it goes on to say that it should be noted there was no blood or any samples located in either of those packages. And this is 11/27/06. It's a little late now to check, isn't it? I mean, we're looking at November 6, 2005. Almost, over a year later. Yeah, little late now. Page 980, Andreas Martinez. Now, this is the gentleman that took a hatchet after his wife, almost killed her, hacked on her head there. It was really, really bad. And he says that he wanted to talk to the police officers regarding information about Teresa Habach. He goes on to say that he tried to get a hold of him a month ago. He changed his mind. But what's interesting is he says he goes to the junkyard sometimes as often as a couple times a day. Really? What are you doing there? He says that that Steven told him Teresa was spying on him, that Teresa wanted to dispose of her, meaning Teresa. And it just gets stranger from there. All right, just a few more reads together on this, and we will have completed the whole CASO. So it really is just a matter of who has opinions of what. We don't have real witnesses. We have 3 different stories for Jody, Sandra, and Michelle. Doesn't make a lot of sense. But if you are looking for real answers in this case, tune in to Burn Barrels and Cuss Road. It's a late night puddle talk, and it explains how Kratz had his hand in tampering in evidence. Also, looking forward to next week, we have a new series called RD Investigation of Darlie Routier Case, and it's about the writ of habeas corpus 11/30/2005. Beginning the investigation of Darlie Routier in her case, I began by reviewing her writ of habeas corpus court files. Now, this document was written in 2005, and it's a great place to start. It allows you to understand what the prosecution supplied the jury that rendered the guilty verdict, and it also shows the other side of the coin, which explains what the defense offers as reason of innocence for her. So it's a wonderful place to start without any rumors or opinions or comments that are going to cloud our judgment. We're just going to look at the court documents and see what has occurred and what the defense's responses were. So that starts Monday, and you can hit that like bell if you like. It is a 5-part series, so it will be running all next week. And with that, you guys, if you didn't do the crime, you shouldn't do the time. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.